Welcome back to the channel. I'm Austin, and it's time for the Bullfrog vs Cold War MP5, discussing which one is the best SMG within Warzone. First, I'll go over the stats in depth, then I'll give you my verdict, and tell you the best class setups for each weapon at the end, and the goal for this video is 50 likes. We're going to be going over the most important stats for SMGs in Warzone. To start off, when talking about max bullet velocity, these weapons are actually going to be identical with 597 respectively. These are not good bullet velocities for range, but since these weapons are only used up close, it isn't going to be an issue at all. If we take a look at fire rate, we can see that the MP5 will come out with a significant advantage with 854 rounds per minute to 751 for the Bullfrog. This is a good benefit to the MP5 because it makes the weapon more forgiving if you miss a couple shots here and there. However, the Bullfrog's fire rate is about average for SMGs, meaning it isn't really a strength or a weakness. More bullets downstream is always going to be beneficial, however, but let's go ahead and take a look at how much damage these weapons do. They're actually going to be about the same average damage up close, with the Bullfrog being just slightly ahead at close range with 33.75 compared to 33.25 for the MP5. This advantage will, however, get bigger at long range with a 27.25 to 25 lead. Now if we take a look at a full damage breakdown, we're going to be looking at head, chest, stomach, and limb damage. We can see that these weapons are going to have a very similar damage profile where both weapons have a damage drop off from stomach to limbs. The best weapons typically will not have a damage drop off from chest to stomach, and this means you can't make the weapon's TTK worse by aiming too low on the torso, while you can make it better by getting headshots. It's very difficult to mainly hit limb shots, so these weapons are still going to meet the requirement of being consistent and easy to use, and this is always a good recipe within Warzone. And the most likely TTK at close range is going to go to the MP5 easily with 562 milliseconds compared to 639 for the Bullfrog. Both weapons are going to take 9 shots to kill, and you will have to hit 2 chest or stomach shots to get these time to kills on both weapons. This is super easy to achieve and won't be a problem for any skill level player. This makes both these weapons feel very good, and both of them are also going to require 1 headshot to lower their TTKs. The MP5 will lower to an impressive 492 milliseconds, where the Bullfrog will go to 559. Anytime a weapon can get a TTK sub 500 milliseconds, it's going to feel incredible. That's why the OTS was so popular and still is. The Cold War MP5 has been doing this in Warzone for such a long time, people forget about it. Now, you can also lower their TTKs by getting 3 headshots with 422 milliseconds for the MP5 and 479 for the Bullfrog. Going for headshots on these weapons is always going to be beneficial at close range because you only need to hit 1, and that's super easy to do from inside of 10 meters. And before we switch to long range TTK, let's actually talk about the range on these weapons themselves. The Bullfrog will have a decent advantage with a 14.5 meter range compared to 9 meters for the MP5. This will definitely make a difference in your engagements because 5.5 meters at such a close range is going to feel massively different. Moving to long range TTK, the MP5 will once again have the better time to kill by a significant margin with 703 milliseconds to 799. To get this time to kill, the Bullfrog will only need you to hit 3 chest or stomach shots, which is very easy to accomplish, while the MP5 is going to need 7 chest or stomach shots, and this is still very doable. And even if you don't do this, your TTK will still be superior to the Bullfrog's by 26 milliseconds. Both weapons are going to take 11 shots to kill. Now the MP5 actually will have a big time advantage at long range because it will only need 1 headshot to lower its TTK to 632 milliseconds, while the Bullfrog can lower its time to kill with 9 chest or stomach shots to 719 milliseconds. I think it's easy to see that both weapons will feel super consistent and that the MP5 will have an easier time lowering its TTK with headshots. One advantage the Bullfrog will definitely have over the MP5 though is accuracy. The Bullfrog basically has no recoil and is one of the easiest to use SMGs within Warzone, which is why it's so popular. But its TTK at long range is pretty bad, so it isn't crazily useful to have no recoil on it. The MP5 doesn't have a lot of recoil, but it definitely has some vertical kick to it. However, it's still easy to control, but neither one of these weapons is great past their initial damage drop off, but I would still give the MP5 the nod here. At the end of the day, it's still going to be easier to aim the Bullfrog. Taking a look at damage per mag, the Bullfrog will come out way ahead of the MP5 with a 2197 to 1665 advantage. This is because in my class setup that we are going to get to shortly, the Bullfrog will have a 65 round mag while the MP5 will only have 50, so even though the damage isn't too drastically different per shot, there's going to be more shots per clip in the Bullfrog. And that stat is going to be more important the bigger the mode, making it the most influential within quads. It's also really good in rebirth. The MP5 has a good damage per mag, but the Bullfrog's is better than you could ever ask for. Switching over to the close close range damage per second, the MP5 is going to be significantly better with 474 DPS to 422. Now the MP5 does have the second best damage per second among SMGs behind only the OTS up close. Basically this just means you're going to have more damage output at close range with the MP5 due to its fire rate and damage combination. Finally, if we move over to the movement stats, I know I just said move 2 times in a row, but the MP5 will have a quicker ADS, strafe speed, movement, and ADS speed, while the Bullfrog will have a faster sprint to fire time. I think it's clear for everyone to see that the MP5 will have superior mobility. However, sprint to fire time is one of the most important stats on SMGs because you're usually running around with your subs, and having it out and being able to start shooting faster is going to be a great advantage. Overall, the MP5 will feel better though, because when you're running around, you're going to be moving faster in every possible way. If you guys could do me a quick favor and like the video, it really helps out. Maybe even subscribe as well if you like these kinds of videos. Alright, I've given you all the relevant stats for these weapons, and it's time for my verdict. The MP5, these weapons are basically identical in damage at close range, but the MP5 will have a significantly faster fire rate, giving it a much better TTK. If you like the OTS, you're gonna like the MP5. The OTS is basically just a less versatile MP5. The Bullfrog is so popular in Warzone right now because of how easy it is to use. It has no recoil and has a big magazine with a lot of damage. People even try to use it as sniper support, and I don't get why. The problem is, it's lacking punch ever since they nerfed its damage. This happened forever ago, but no one ever switched off the Bullfrog. It used to be the best SMG within Warzone, but now I would consider it mid-tier and only should be used by a low skill level player who can't use one of these higher skill SMGs. The MP5 has a good fire rate, TTK, damage per mag, and mobility, and that's all you can ask for from a sub. Its range isn't great, but with all its strengths, it will definitely outweigh its one con. We're going to start off by going over the Bullfrog's best class setup, and what we're going to want to do on this one is extend its range as well as make its mobility better, which is where it struggles. So to start off with, we're going to be using the Grew Suppressor because this gets its vertical recoil control, not a big deal because the recoil is so low, but we get bullet velocity and effective damage range. Then we go over to the barrel. 7.4 task force is going to be great, gives us damage range and strafe speed, 2 key things on making this weapon feel better. And then I'm going to skip all the way over to the stock and use the KGB Scuttle Stock because it really helps our ADS movement speed while we're firing and while we're just walking. And then we also get sprint to fire time, which is where this thing excels at if you remember, and this is just going to make it even crazier. So then from there, we're going to go to the 65 round mag because this doesn't hurt our ADS like the 85 round one does, but it still gives us a huge clip and amazing damage per mag. And then when we go over to the underbarrel, there's really 2 options here you can use. You can go for the Bruiser Grip, which gives you plus 1% across all movement stats on the Bullfrog and hipfire accuracy. But for me personally, I'm not a big fan of using hipfire in fights unless I really have to. And for me, I like this Patrol Grip because it really gets our sprinting move speed up, which struggles in comparison to other SMGs. It's better than ARs, but kind of lower tier and subs when we talk about sprinting move speed. And that would be my preferred class setup. Some people like to use the Tiger Team Spotlight, but for me, I don't like that the flashlight is visible, and I'd rather get my sprinting move speed up. And if you're a lower skill player, you should definitely use this weapon because you're going to be able to use it better than other SMGs and get a better KD with it. Now we're going to go over to my recommended SMG in Warzone, the MP5, and we're going to start off by increasing the range as well as controlling the recoil and getting the bullet velocity a little bit up with the Agency Suppressor. Now I'm going to skip over the barrel because really we're only going to be using this thing inside of 10 meters because that's its new range with the Agency Suppressor added on. It goes from 9 to 10, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to have to use this SMG up its super close range, so I'm really going to focus on the movement stats on this one. So we're going to go to the Raider stock. This gets our ADS movement speeds up with our sprint to fire time getting even better, and then I'm going to go to the rear grip and add the airborne elastic grip because we get flinch resistance, aim down sight speed, aiming stability, so this is going to be really good for up close. Magazine, of course we got to extend the mag. We got to go with the 50 round stag nag. It does make our ADS slightly worse, but the 40 round just doesn't do it for me, and I think you need the biggest mag possible. But the airborne elastic wrap will completely counteract that and still actually make the ADS better than the base model. And then when we go to the underbarrel, it's kind of a similar situation to last time where you can go with the Bruiser Grip or Patrol Grip, but personally I really like to get the sprinting move speed up, especially when we're going to be using this thing only inside of 10 meters. Now if you're someone who doesn't mind the flashlight being visible, the Tiger Team Spotlight will work out pretty well. You get aim locking movement speed and then plus 1% across all movement stats. So that's not bad, but I really dislike the flashlight being visible, especially inside buildings when you're going to be using this MP5 all the time in there. So I like the patrol grip. Sprinting move speed is better, aim down sight speed is better, ADS movement speeds are up while you're firing and when you're not firing, and sprint to fire time is up, and we do get the nice benefit of getting the range up from 9 to 10 meters, and this is going to be one of the top tier subs within Warzone with being able to get under 500 millisecond TTK. And now if you want to know what long range weapon to pair with these, I'll have 2 videos linked on screen right now, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.